Are saleswomen better than salesmen? Well, I can't say with 100% certainty that saleswomen are better than salesmen. I can't even say that women in general are better in business, but you can say that. In fact, go ahead and drop your opinion in the comments below. And if you're a sales manager, I'm very interested to know your top producers. Are they usually female or male? Now here's the thing, in my experience, in all of the companies I've worked with across multiple countries and multiple industries, the top producers have always been saleswomen. But I thought maybe you'd like some more insight as opposed to just my experience. So I did a little research for you. Now, before we get into the research, I just want to clarify. I'm not saying that men are not good salespeople. Of course they are. There's so many great salesmen. In fact, one of my best managers was a man. He's actually the one that taught me a lot of the techniques that I teach in my online courses. And of course it has a Munna touch to it, and there's been a lot of things added over the years, but there's a lot of great salesmen. The only question here is, are women better at sales than men? So, let's find out. So in my research, I found a little company called Forbes. I don't know, maybe they're like a startup or something. So this Forbes company, they actually said this: 70% of women typically reach their quota, as opposed to only 67% of men that reach their quota. Now, okay, it's not a big difference, it's only 3%, but this is coming from Forbes. So now the reasons they listed is that females have 3 distinct advantages in sales. The first one is listening capabilities. So females generally have better listening capabilities. And if you follow any of my sales courses or my trainings or my videos, you'll know that one of the things that I talk about a lot is that you should be listening more than you speak if you want to be a top producing salesperson. So just the sheer fact that Forbes said that females have better listening capabilities gives them a natural advantage at sales. The second reason that Forbes is saying females have a natural advantage in sales is because females generally have a higher EQ, emotional intelligence. And what this means very simply is that females can regulate their emotions a bit better than men. So for example, in a selling situation, a female might react to a negative statement with retracting and coming up with a creative solution, as opposed to a salesman may, depending on his personality, he may enter into an argument or get into a defensive state, which is generally not going to work in your favor. The other thing that EQ does, if you have high emotional intelligence, which females generally have higher EQ, females can pick up on nonverbal cues much better. And I have a few videos about body language, but I'm going to be making some more because it's such a fascinating subject. And most of the communication in sales and in life in general is nonverbal. So if you imagine Forbes actually says that only 7% of communication is verbal. 7%. That's way lower than what I knew it to be before. But let's just say it's around 7%, 10%, whatever it is. That means the majority of communication in general is nonverbal. So if you're not picking up on these body language cues and tonality and everything else that's nonverbal, you're missing the majority of the conversation. So EQ is a huge part of being a really good salesperson. The third reason that Forbes is saying females are better at sales is because of collaboration. So generally, females are more willing to collaborate, whether it's internally with different departments, whether it's with prospects, whether it's coming up with creative solutions. Just in general, collaboration now is more the way forward in sales or in business in general. And women in business tend to be able to collaborate more quickly, more easily than men. Again, this is not saying that men, they don't do any of these things. We're just talking in a general sense. And this is coming from Forbes, this small little whatever company. I think they just started. Now, let's come back to my experience. What have I actually noticed in all of my years of sales and sales training? Again, it's that the top producers in any company, they were always female. And I actually did not pick up on this until later in my career. And when I look back, in every industry, it really didn't matter what industry. I mean, it could have been in the financial industry, in debt collection, in telecommunications, in marketing and advertising, B2B and B2C. It was always a female that was the top producer, excluding myself. So even before I started working in the companies, the top producer was another female, which is very interesting when I thought about it. And here's what I noticed. They all had a few similar characteristics. The first one is the fact that regardless of what industry and regardless of what country the company was in, the decision makers on a general scale tended to be men. And just from a sheer psychological perspective, females would have a natural advantage in dealing with men in a business sense, simply because of the way our minds work and the way we're able to get men to do certain things and convince them of certain things, while if you're a smart saleswoman, you can get the decision maker to actually feel that it was their decision. Okay, so women, you know what I'm talking about. Men, if you're a decision maker, just ignore this. Don't even worry about it. Just fast forward. Go to the next video. The second thing I've noticed in all the companies I worked in and all the companies I've trained is that the top producing females, they worked harder. And what I mean by that is that they just simply put in more work. And you hear this, sales is a numbers game. You hear that cliche a lot, but it's absolutely true, because you can either get really, really good in your skills, or if you're in the beginning of your career, or for whatever reason your skills are not improving, your other option is to very simply just make more calls, speak to more prospects, get more clients on the phone, set up more meetings. Just purely putting yourself in front of more potential clients will increase your conversions. That is somewhat basic, but it's not really utilized because I see a lot of fear overtaking a lot of salespeople, both men and women, and that will deter them from putting in that work. But over the course of 18 years, I've noticed that women will generally work harder. So if they don't necessarily have better skills, which a lot of them do anyway, they just put in more effort, which will result in higher sales. The other thing I noticed is that females are more persistent. And this can come from a variety of reasons. Maybe they are moms and they have to be persistent with their kids, or there's a lot of different scenarios in life where you have to be persistent, especially as a female. And in sales, being persistent is critical to almost every step in the sales cycle. So the more persistent you are, of course, if you can do it in a very, very smart way, then your sales are going to increase. Because even in the follow-up course that I teach on Sales Society, which you could check out below, it's funny because I ask a question in one of the lessons, which is, when do you stop following up? And it's kind of a trick question because the answer is you don't. You literally never stop following up. And there's a lot of salespeople, both men and women, again, that will stop following up. When in reality, if you want to be at the top of the leaderboard, if you want to be the best salesperson, you have to be so persistent that you literally never stop following up. Now, the thing is, the client may think that you're going to stop following up at some point, and that's okay. That's actually good. But then you just hit them with, oh, hey, hi, it's me again. Remember me? I'm still here. Never going to go away. I mean, don't say that. Take my follow-up course. You have much smarter things to say. But that's the whole concept. Being super persistent is very important. So these are the things that I've noticed in the top producing saleswomen in the businesses I've worked in. So again, are saleswomen better than salesmen? I mean, let's just look at Forbes if you don't want to look at my experience, okay? Or another way to say this is, do women make better salespeople? Again, I mean, I don't know. If you like this video, share it with at least one woman that you know that's either in sales or thinking about starting some type of sales position. Give this video a like if you found it interesting. And if you don't like it, or if you're a guy and for whatever reason you were offended by this, hit the dislike button twice. Just give me a little, I don't like it so much, I'm gonna hit it twice. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the next videos.